We are live. We are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome to the blizzard of 2023, you guys. Reporting live from my Ash Gregoire Chaminade Nissan Maxima SR trimline 300 horsepower in this V6 engine, man. I had no problem driving from point A to point B this morning, even when I was on the road just past 4 o'clock today, making my way into work for the morning show on TSN 690, 6 to 10 weekdays, Monday to Friday, of course. I had no problem. My Ash Gregoire Chaminade Nissan, man, a beast in the snow. The snow is no issue. You get yourself a good set of winter tires, a car that can handle, that's got some weight behind it, sticks to the ground nice and low. You can be like me and get into your dream Ash Gregoire Chaminade Nissan. Just go to ChaminadeNissan.com. They have cars right now on their lot. No supply chain issues whatsoever. And of course, my friends at Axon Group and AxonGroup.com, they're a leader in the North American transportation space and service provider, combining their assets, their own assets, with the railed-owned equipment and with their trucking partners. You can trust your service, your business with Axon and AxonGroup.com. They're a company, and their success depends on the contribution and expertise of all of their employees. It's why they choose to offer competitive salaries and benefits, a healthy work-life balance environment, and opportunities of advancement. So if you're looking at a new career, you're looking for a change of pace, you're looking to join an incredibly competitive and employee-friendly business, check out my friends at AxonGroup.com. Account executives, highway brokerage operations. They're looking for dispatchers in various capacities, driver operations, intermodal operations. So if you have experience, looking for more experience, you want to work with people that treat employees first, AxonGroup.com. Check them out, a leader in the transportation space, locally owned and operated, based out of the South Shore. Good to be with you, my friends, in the aftermath of the Montreal Canadiens. Finding victory lane in a 4-3 win over visiting Nashville last night on what was a PK Subban night at the Bell Center, which I have to tell you was it is the highlight of the 2023 campaign for me. Not only did the Montreal Canadiens and PK Subban knock that pregame ceremony out of the park, it was done with class. He hit on all the right notes. And of course, the chef's kiss at the end of it was a supremely dressed Carey Price, head to toe in his beautiful cowboy outfit, black head to toe, and ultimately culminating with the infamous triple low five that was banished into obscurity by the likes of Michel Therrien and Marc Bergevin. And what a nice suck it to Marc Bergevin and Michel Therrien, allowing the organization to have some fun. The fans wanted to see it. Anybody that's paid attention to this team in this market for a long time definitely wanted to see it. And look, I mean, we can talk about the Montreal Canadiens winning a game last night over Nashville, but let's be honest here. The Montreal Canadiens were inspired, and there's some positives in that 4-3 win. But they also faced a guy named Yaroslav Araskov, who was making his NHL debut yesterday and made 31 saves. Sam Montembeault had to make 39 stops last night on 42 shots, and the Montreal Canadiens, on the back of Cole Caufield's 2-goal performance, he's got 25 markers on the season, and the Canadiens pick up 2 points and find themselves in victory lane with a 4-3 win. I'll choose to believe that the team was inspired by PK Subban, whose pregame ceremony was a legit 10-on-10. As soon as he came out in that beautiful coat of his, all the right color schemes. And for me, I don't know what you were expecting from PK Subban. I was expecting a little bit more energy. PK, the ultimate showman. And I like the fact that he was kind of subdued. He talked about the importance of playing in this market. He talked about what it means to wear the jersey. And he was taught by the great Jean Beliveau and other Canadians that came before him of the importance that when you put on that sweater, when you wear that sweater, it means more than just going out there and playing a hockey game. And I like the fact that PK acknowledged that history. I like the fact that PK looked at the current roster of the Montreal Canadiens and said, hey, don't forget, you want to be adored by the fans in this market, you got to come to work, and you got to come to work every day. And I think it's something that, forever fans of the Montreal Canadiens, people who pay attention to this hockey team in this market, we know that. It's why a guy like Steve Béger, to take it back, why he was beloved by a portion of the fan base here, because Steve Béger was one of those players that literally gave it more than 100%. the thing with that is that if Steve Bégin didn't give 100% or more than 100%, he wouldn't play. So fans in this market are very smart. They're very sharp. They can tell bullshit from authenticity. And you got a sense that if you can come to work and put forth an honest work effort, night in and night out, you are going to be beloved by this fan base. And I think PK Subban touched that yesterday. And it didn't really get any better for me than as soon as PK was done with his thank you and his message to this market, and a little bit, bonjour Montréal, merci pour la belle vie, je t'aime Montréal. Again, it's that effort, man. It's that effort that is really appreciated by this fan base and this marketplace. And there were no boos yesterday for PK Subban. I was very happy to hear that. It was appointment viewing to make sure that we watched this pregame ceremony yesterday, because PK Subban was one of my all-time, and will go down as one of my all-time favorite Montreal Canadiens. I'm 44 years old. I've been watching this team my entire life, and I've said repeatedly, the face of the organization, the heartbeat of the organization, the player the team markets itself around has always been a goaltender. So it was nice to see something different when PK was here. Especially his flair for the dramatic, his ability to score goals in crunch time, wanting to go to Boston and suck the life out of Bruins Nation and go there and beat the Bruins, right? He said all the right things, and talk is always cheap. How do you back it up? And PK, more often than not, certainly as a Montreal Canadian, I found that he always backed it up. I always described PK Subban as a 1% player. And there are guys on this roster, Gallagher, that don't like PK Subban. And there are guys on this roster, or that were on this roster, Carey Price, that loved PK Subban and had no problem with PK Subban's larger-than-life attitude and persona. And it's up to certain veterans to make sure, that you try to stay even keel all the time. And it's unfortunate that PK's time in Montreal ended the way it did. But nevertheless, it doesn't change the fact that this guy was a firecracker as a Montreal Canadian, and I was happy to see the organization pay tribute to number 76. And if you ask me, I don't have any inside information to this whatsoever. But if you ask me, if Jeff Molson could exercise a mulligan in life, I think Jeff Molson would not give the green light to trade PK Subban in a 1v1 for Shea Weber to the Nashville Predators. That was a Marc Bergevin sell job. That was, Jeff Molson doing what he says he does. He's part owner of the organization, and when he hires people in positions of power, in management positions, he gives them the keys to the kingdom, and he gives them a lot of autonomy. And Marc Bergevin ran a very tight ship here for the better part of 10 years, and I choose to believe that the Montreal Canadiens, it took him 9.5 years, but realized that Marc Bergevin was too stuffy. He was the wrong person for a modernized NHL. And I think the Montreal Canadiens, who are a very conservative organization, decided it was time to pivot and time to take the team into the 21st century. And I got to tell you, I'm so glad that they've pivoted, that they've allowed Cole Caufield to show more personality. They're allowing their players to show personality online and social media and fun videos and stuff like that, and that you don't have control freaks running every aspect of the Montreal Canadiens, letting people breathe in their respective roles. So there was a lot to unpack from the PK Subban, Carey Price, bringing back the triple low five, and how stupid it was, and what dumb decisions, what lack of foresight when it comes outlawing the triple low five. My God, the dark days of the Montreal Canadiens. I am so glad they are gone. I am so glad we are where we are now. And the process of rebuilding the Montreal Canadiens is on in full effect. Jesse Olonen yesterday making an impact in his season debut for the Montreal Canadiens, a recent call-up from the Laval Rocket. Certain guys that we looked at that weren't pulling their weight, that weren't executing, that weren't engaged. You're seeing a little bit of a turnaround. Jake Evans has put back-to-back solid performances. The Montreal Canadiens getting a little bit more depth in their roster, especially up front. Juraj Slafkovsky, I thought, had a better game again. So he's put back-to-back better performances. If you're going to call a guy out for lack of engagement, make sure you call him out when he is engaged and creating opportunities and rounding out a line. Him, Anderson, Dvorak were very good to go with Jake Evans. I thought Joel Edmondson had a game. David Savard had himself a game. Both guys finished with a point. Very important for me to see Joel Edmondson turn this corner and be a productive member on the back end for the Montreal Canadiens, because your options are very limited. Who's going to get Kent Hughes, his coveted third first-round draft pick this summer in the entry draft. It's very important to see if you, like me, think Joel Edmondson is gone, maybe Josh Anderson is gone, and others. Is Sean Monahan going to come back, and is he going to be able to contribute in order to make him more attractive to other general managers as the Canadiens begin the process of stocking the cupboards again? So all that to say, guys we had questioned, guys we had called out, had much better performances. So did Jonathan Drouin, who was very good on the power play. The Canadiens scored twice with the man advantage. Cole Caufield, dynamic with his release. We could call it the Caufield office at this point. He scored twice. He's got 25 goals. Cole Caufield on pace for a 49-goal season. By the way, Caufield also yesterday had 9 shots on target, 4 hit the net, 5 missed. This is what you want to see, which takes us to the question of, can you see Cole Caufield scoring 50 goals this season? It has been, for some of you, you have never seen a Montreal Canadiens player ever score 50 goals in a single season. The last guy to do that was Stéphane Richer, the last 100-point guy, of which I don't think any player on this roster right now has a chance at collecting 100 points, certainly this season. So that's not going to happen, but there is a realistic shot at seeing someone for the first time in 33 years wearing a Montreal Canadiens sweater score 50 goals. It's almost reminiscent for me of Alex Galchenyuk's 30-goal season as a Montreal Canadien. I do think, and I do believe right here and right now, I think Cole Caufield is going to drop a 50-burger this season. And I think as the games and the season wind down, I think Cole Caufield's going to get a lot more open looks. I think some teams against that are matching up against the Canadiens that are already locked into playoff spots, I think the Canadiens are going to get favorable matchups and favorable games as we get towards the latter part of March and into April as the season winds itself down. And I think, honestly, that opens the door wide open to see Cole Caufield drop a 50 spot. Obviously, he has to stay healthy, and by all accounts, he is getting better and better and better as the season and his personal career continues to evolve. So all in all, a very fun night at the Bell Center. One of those nights where I wish I was there. Watching at home, it was so cool to see Carey Price come out and do the triple low 5 with PK Subban, and I choose to read a lot into that. I really do, especially when we talk about the fact that the absurdity of the triple low 5 being banished by Michel Therrien and Marc Bergevin, those absurd control freaks that put the Montreal Canadiens in a time machine and sent them back 50 years from where they are, and the process of bringing them back into a modern NHL is on in full effect. And I choose to believe that the fact that Carey Price at PK Subban executed a triple low 5 shows to me the growth inside the Montreal Canadiens organization, and that they're not scared of allowing certain people, stars on the organization, to breathe, show their personalities, and have a little bit more fun. So all in all, it was a very fun night at the Bell Center. If you were there, awesome. A memory I think you're going to have for a very long time. And we'll see what happens moving forward, whether or not PK Subban, comes back in some sort of ambassador role. PK, if you don't know, is an ESPN commentator. He signed a 3-year deal with the worldwide leader south of the border, so he's going to do a lot of studio talk. He's also going to do some game action for ESPN throughout the course of this season. So that's kind of where we are with that. And the Montreal Canadiens pick up a 4-3 win and beat a Yaroslav Askravov, who was making his NHL debut last night, made 31 saves for the Nashville Predators, who, by the way, played the previous night and lost 2-1 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So things kind of were set up nicely for the Canadiens, which doesn't mean that I don't see leadership in a guy like Cole Caufield, right, who after Wednesday's practice ahead of Thursday's game with Nashville came out and said, he, without using the word guarantee, he more or less told the fan base that his team was going to have a much better start to their game on Thursday than they did against the Seattle Kraken in that shutout loss where the Kraken just steamrolled the Canadiens. The game was over in the first period. Roles reversed this time, but again, Nashville played the night before. Nashville was going up against a goaltender that had never played in the NHL before. But Cole Caufield, without saying the word guarantee, told everybody that was listening and pay attention that his team was going to be much better. So to me, that's leadership. To me, that's growth. To me, that's accountability. Martin St. Louis basically said his guys were embarrassed and they knew how bad they were on Monday night in that loss to the Kraken. So That's what we look for. We look for accountability. We look for engagement. We want to see the care meter move off of zero, and you saw that against Nashville. I really don't care about the set of circumstances in which the Montreal Canadiens took advantage, right? Rookie goaltender, a team playing the second game in as many nights, traveling from Toronto to Montreal. I get all of that. All of those circumstances played a part in the Montreal Canadiens, but they came to play. Were they inspired by PK Subban and Carey Price, where they knew they needed a little extra giddy up in their stride? Fine, so be it. Done. The end goal is they did it. They recognized that they weren't good enough. Professional pride played a role. So Josh Anderson, Christian Dvorak, Uri Slafkovsky, Jonathan Drouin, Joel Edmondson, David Savard, Jake Evans, Evgeny Dodonov, all had step-up performances in Cole Caufield, clearly. Kirby Dach had himself a game, too. So all of those little incremental improvements show you that there is leadership inside the organization. There is strong leadership in this organization and strong character players. And I choose to read into Cole Caufield, to me, growing into a leadership role with Nick Suzuki, telling Uri Slafkovsky, keep your head up, keep your chin up. We're going to be here for a long time together. Cole Caufield telling this fan base that there are no quitters. There's no give up on this team. Expect a better performance. Boom, signed, sealed, and delivered. These are all small things, the attention to detail that I try to pay attention to. Could I be guilty of reading too much into certain things? Okay, fine. I'm only human. I get it. But I'm looking for growth. This is where I'm at, and I try to be consistent. When we talked about, and let's go back to the summer, Gordon Hughes, St. Louis, all hired. Canadiens are turning into a new team. The end goal is I want to be Toronto. I want to be the Tampa Bay Lightning. I want to be a team that is set up for sustained success, not one-offs. Not, wow, they caught fire and were an unbeatable team for 82 games, right? No. I want to be talking about the Montreal Canadiens fighting for first place in the Atlantic Division every year for the next decade. That's kind of where I'm at. Unachievable goal, perhaps, but a goal is a goal nevertheless. So I'm all about sustained success. I'm all about suffering with some pain for long-term gains. And I believe that the organization is showing you some growth. And that was my takeaway from the Montreal Canadiens 4-3 victory. Ooh, Gazzy this morning. 4-3 victory over the Nashville Predators. Some comments starting to come in this morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Man, you could see what a nasty day weather-wise. But look, between you and I'm having no sweat navigating our first snowstorm of 2023 in my beautiful Ash Gregoire Shaman and Nissan Maxima, plowing through the snow. No challenge today. John Mayer, what's up? Good morning. Habs hockey has been tough to watch lately. Last night was fun, though. Triple low 5 was phenomenal. Dude, I got to tell you, John, and everybody else that feels like John does and like I do, the triple low 5, I kid you not, brought me out of my seat. I'm chilling on the couch. I got my dog Hank there. We're watching this thing, and I'm like, okay, what are they going to do? I honestly thought, and we spoke about this on Thursday's morning show, I thought they were going to bring out kids from the Children's Hospital because PK has meant so much to sick children and their families in Montreal with the PK Subban Atrium and the pledge to raise $10 million and everything else that he's meant so much to sick children and their families here. I thought children that are up for it, that could health-wise, I thought there would be several children on the ice. There was just one lovely little girl yesterday, and that was an awesome moment too, where PK got the fans in the Bell Center to take a break from chanting PK to chant this little girl's name. That was an awesome touch your heart kind of moment. And I did honestly think, if the organization is going to be cool and if Carey Price is up for it, Carey Price should be there because those guys were tight. They got along. They had a good relationship. And the absurdity, again, of the banishment of the triple low 5, it just really, it really bothers me that Michel Therrien and Marc Bergevin looked at that and said, no more. Get that out of here. I mean, my gosh, they set the organization back. Anyways, that's in the past. Here we are in the present, talking together. That triple low 5 brought me out of my seat yesterday. And Nikita McKean, both goalies were solid, but Askravov could really be a stud in the future. I don't disagree. And does it not seem to you, Nikita and everybody else, like Nashville? Like, when did Nashville turn into this goaltending factory? They always have goaltenders. And they have goaltenders waiting in the wings, ready to be graduated and take it over. Yeah, Sam Montembeault, man, this guy can turn into a wall. Like, remember against Seattle, he made like almost 40 stops. Yesterday was 39 saves. in a 4-3 win over the Nashville Predators at the Bell Center. By the way, the Canadiens back in action. They're going to double dip on the weekend. How much of those games are you going to watch with NFL Super Wildcard Weekend on deck? You've got a couple of games on Saturday, including the primetime game with the Chargers and Jaguars. The Canadiens play the Islanders at 7. And then on Sunday at 5 o'clock, they're taking on the Rangers with an NFL Super Wildcard triple header. Oh, my God. Like, it might be football a big, hefty majority of the time. Jantan, friend to the program, friend to the podcast, thanks so much for tuning in. I think overall it speaks volumes about the Bergevin area and just how it hurt the brand. Based on personnel he wanted and not wanted, it hurts bringing in more fans and engagement to the Canadiens. Jantan, you couldn't have summarized it better. I know for a fact Marc Bergevin was a control freak. I kid you not. It mattered who sung the anthem on some idle night in March at the Bell Center for a home game. Who the cares who sings an anthem at the Bell Center in March? Who cares? Concentrate on guys that didn't play hockey the way you did, Marc Bergevin. A little bit more beyond your scope of NHL players. I stand by it. The Montreal Canadiens were put in a time machine, sent 50 years back, not forward. You can tell the Habs changed for the better with Chantal Machabée. She's the new VP of Communications. That definitely changed and helped steer the ship. PK's return doesn't happen without the initial step by Chantal. We are very lucky. And she is also, by the way, when Cole Caufield last season was having fun on the Canadiens trip to California and he was doing videos on his Instagram account on the beach in California, she was like, don't erase those. Put those out. It's cool. We are here for you. Yes. Welcome to 2022 into 2023, everybody. It's okay for your athletes to be perceived as having fun, enjoying their young millionaire lifestyle. Rick Springhetti, what it do, Rick? Habs lacked leadership when Subban played with the team. The issue in the locker room seemed very minor. A strong leader would have been able to talk to everyone involved and found a common ground or a middle ground. Thank you, Rick, for your perspective. And remember, Hal Gill was a Montreal Canadian. Hal Gill was also tasked with helping bring along PK Subban. But I honestly don't know if it was necessarily, Rick, an entire lack of leadership. I do subscribe to some of your theory in part that, yes, inexperience, Max Pacioretty, how does he handle this? Brendan Gallagher, how do they? Those two guys I wouldn't necessarily would say were PK's biggest fans or supporters. But at the end of this, there were veterans here. And I think what really changed things for the Montreal Canadiens and their relationship with PK, and perhaps why it soured, was they never experienced someone like PK Subban. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know what to do, how to handle a guy that, coming off a loss would behave the same way in a room off a win. Whereas, hockey is a very guarded, conservative game. Some guy has a 4-point night. He's going to give the credit to his line mates and his hockey stick. And maybe, just maybe, he might credit his own individual athletic ability. Like, that's hockey. It's not football. It's not basketball. It's not baseball, where guys are confident and have no issue bragging about their accomplishments on any given night, right? So that's my read on why PK and the organization. And I also think that Jeff Molson gave too much power, too much autonomy to his managers. And yes, Jeff Molson, I guess, and his partners had to give the green light when it came to moving a fan favorite like PK Subban. It's because the awkwardness that they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to handle a guy. Hockey's very quiet, very reserved, earn your place before you open your mouth. And PK didn't roll that way, man. And listen, it takes a lot of guts to have that confidence and not let it waver. And PK was a master at doing that. And I think as time goes by, I think we see that Marc Bergevin and Michel Therrien were on the wrong side of history, and that if mulligans existed in life, I think Jeff Molson doesn't give the green light and they don't move away from PK Subban. All that to say, like, Shea Weber was a very good player for the Canadiens and meant a lot. And, maybe to Rick Springhetti's earlier point, they clearly identified the lack of leadership as being something that hurt this Canadiens team, and they look at Shea Weber, and I think Nashville was very excited to get that contract off their books. And that's why they executed the 1v1 deal, right? So the comments continue to come in. Great to see Montreal honoring Subban. He always gave his heart and soul to the organization, but perhaps he was too charismatic for the team to handle. Best wishes to Subban going forward. Yeah, looking forward to seeing him on TV. Rick Spaghetti, you make some good points, Sean. It's too bad. I lost the same affection for the Habs after the trade. Starting to get it back a bit now. And, ultimately, I'm always a team over player first guy. Like when Patrick Waugh got dealt, he asked to be traded. Ultimately, gets dealt to the Colorado Avalanche. I remember saying at the time, Patrick Waugh was my favorite Canadiens player and still is my favorite Habs player of all time. And I remember being, so young and naive, and I would tell Colorado's my favorite team. Whoever Patrick Waugh got traded to, that would be my favorite team. Here we are, all these years later. No, I was never a Colorado Avalanche fan, ever. Not for a second. I'm still a Montreal Canadiens fan. I'm going to go to my grave as a Montreal Canadiens fan. I am a team-first guy. But I do, like everyone else, I am not perfect. And, opinions change and evolve over time just as we do. And I watched PK Subban and I saw, here's a modern player. Here's a guy that this team that I cheer for has never had before. And not only does he look different from everybody else, he conducts himself differently than everybody else, and he talks differently than everybody else. And for an organization that, again, is very conservative, they're like, whoa, who is this guy? Where's this guy coming from? Why isn't he wearing our hat? Why isn't he saying nice things about us? How come he's not raising money for our Children's Hospital Foundation? Why is he doing something on his own? Like, the organization didn't know what to do. And Marc Bergevin, as a player was a glue guy. He was a role player. He was a grinding defenseman in his National Hockey League career. I don't think it's a coincidence that Marc Bergevin was very fond of acquiring players that had a stylistic approach to their game as he did. And so when you get the polar opposite of that in PK Subban on a team that's run by Marc Bergevin, he and everybody else like, who is this guy? How in the hell do we handle this guy? Because they never, ever had to handle someone like that before. Sure, there's bold, brash personalities in all sports, but the rare athlete in hockey that talks smack and backs it up on the ice more often than not, the organization and the people who ran the team never saw or experienced a player like that. I am convinced of it. I am convinced that played a major role in moving PK Subban, in using a cop-out excuse like lack of leadership and everything else. Like, you look at a player like that had game-breaking talent, and you're like, they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to harness that. And Max Pacioretty would whine and complain about his ice time and about PK, and PK wouldn't shut up, and Pacioretty didn't know what to do and all this stuff. Like Pacioretty, he was the wrong captain. He wasn't wired to be the captain of the Montreal Canadiens. I can tell you this for a fact, okay? Like, Pacioretty would complain about his power play time like a lot of guys. Saku Koivu did this too. He'd go in off a game and you're like, look at this box score here. Why does this guy have more power play time than me? I get it. Egos play a large part in this, right? But like, they would look at this and Pacioretty wouldn't go to his coach. He wouldn't go to his manager. He would go to his agent. And he would talk to his, they don't put me on a power play. His agent would call Marc Bergevin, and he would say, what do you think, my player's shit? What do you think, my player's not talented? Why isn't he on the power play? And Bergevin said, what are you talking about here? Like, it was the complete opposite. Like, Bergevin would give a message to Pacioretty. Pacioretty would go to his agent, complain about it, and then his agent would call and say, what are you saying? You're being disrespectful, saying my player's garbage, can't do this, can't play on a power play, blah, 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 blah. Wrong, erroneous. That's not those little things like add up. He should never have been the captain. Should never have been the captain at the time that he was appointed captaincy of the Montreal Canadiens. But again, revisionist history. You can't go back. You can't change the past. We can learn from it, and you hope that the new regime learns from some of the archaic decisions that the previous regime made for the better part of 10 years. Evolve or die, my friends. Thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Always appreciate your comments. One more, however, the organization has to come before the player. When in Rome, do as the Romans. I agree. I don't disagree. Like I said, it is team before player first. And I do believe in systems. I do believe in everyone subscribing to the team concept. But please allow creative players to be creative. Allow artistic interpretation. You can be that and follow team structure all at the same time. You're looking for a better life. You're looking for a better job that pays you more money. Maybe you work for a douchebag that doesn't appreciate your skill set. And every time you go into your boss's office, you say, listen, I've been working for you for 10 years. How about, a little love instead of a pat on the back or a job well done? Words, talk is cheap, my friend. Show me the money. Time to look at new opportunities. Thanks to my friends at accentgroup.com. This is a proudly locally owned and operated business, and they have available positions to enhance your life now. And I know them personally. This is a very employee-friendly and employee-first company. It's why they offer more than just competitive salaries and benefits. They also prioritize a very healthy work-life balance, and they give you an environment and let you breathe in an environment that creates opportunities for career advancement. And what comes with that? More money. It's an employee-first company. So if you're interested in pivoting, and it's never been a better time right now to change your lifestyle, to change your career perspectives. So you have experience, looking for more experience in the account executive profession. You're looking for work in dispatching, whether it's highway brokerage operations or driver operations or intermodal operations. You're looking for more experience, a better paying job in an employee-first company. Look no further than my friends at accentgroup.com. It's a locally owned and operated company based out of the South Shore. And as I mentioned already, they care about your life-work balance. You can always tell, like you drive by companies, big companies that maybe you recognize their name. You're like, man, look at the cars in the parking lot there. Go drive by Accent Group, accentgroup.com on the South Shore. Look at the cars in the parking lot there. Yes, that's why. Because they treat their employees like their family, and they pay you accordingly. You've all worked for so many people. Like, great job. Keep up the great works, John. Great work. Thank you. How about a monetary reward, for example? You don't have to worry about that with my friends at accentgroup.com. So they're hiring now. Check them out for more information. accentgroup.com. And of course, get ready for the weekend. You can fuel up and save money. Premium gas at discount prices at K-Stop Gas Bar and Depener, Highway 138 in Ganawage. It's right over the Mercier Bridge. So if you're in the surrounding area, you're in LaSalle, you're in Candiac, you're in Chateauguay, boom, 5 minutes door to door. And on a day like today where the weather is El Crapola, they've got a gas jockey there 24 hours a day. So you can stay in your car in your nice warm cabin in your Ash Gregoire, Champagne, and Nissan, and they've got a 5-star employee putting gas in your car, premium fuel at discount prices only at K-Stop, Gas Bar, and Depener. More comments coming in from Jantan. Now that PK has left, I believe Cole Caufield will be the next most electrifying player in this Habs group. I agree wholeheartedly. Cole Caufield sounding more and more like a young captain, like a young leader to me. John Mayer, I've got 3 Habs jerseys, red Price, white PK, and a powder blue Cole Caufield. Last night was perfect. Totally agree. That pregame ceremony last night on PK Subban night was perfection. Hit every note. Great job, everybody, from PK to Chantal Maccabi to the organization. And for me, most importantly, a big thank you to Carey Price, dude, for being awesome, for recognizing that the market wanted to see you. How about that pop? How about that loud cheer for Carey Price yesterday, who I thought looked 10 on 10. So did PK Subban. And it really was a perfect night that that culminated with the Montreal Canadiens winning a hockey game 4-3. What's up next for the Habs? They're set to take on the Islanders tomorrow at 7, taking on the Rangers Sunday at 5. All the action, as always, on your home for the Habs, TSN 690. And cost them a mess. The 0005 was sticking it to Michel Terrier and crew. I totally agree. When I saw the 0005 yesterday, I got up, I stood up from my couch. I went, "Suck it, Michel Terrier." That's exactly what I did, and I don't think I was alone in that celebration. So I didn't get to my NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. As you see here, I have come prepared. 1 sheet of paper, 2 sheets of paper, 3 sheets of paper. This is all my homework, all done for NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. You tell me in the comments. Do you want me to jump on Saturday morning, Sunday morning? Do we want to do a live NFL show together ahead of a Super Bowl? I wish it was Super Bowl. Ahead of a Super Wildcard Weekend? You tell me in the comments. Do you want me to jump on Saturday morning? We can break down these games. We've got some best bets. Or, of course, I could just post them. I don't know. Whatever you want. Whatever you guys want. Whatever you want, I am here to deliver for you, okay? So you hit me up in the comments. I'll try to respond to as many of them as I can. I'm going to go play golf today in my friend's simulator. So I'll get to them later. But if you want an NFL breakdown show, I'll do one Saturday. I could do one Sunday. Hit me up in the comments, okay? And don't forget, you support me, support my sponsors, accentgroup.com and K-Stop, Gas Bar, and Depener. Okay, guys? Have a great Friday. You can always watch, like, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Peace.